The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King. Watch live at 5 p.m. weekdays on YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 17 17 700. Talking Scottish football first.
Paul Cooney, Peter Grant, and we're joined tonight by somebody who's in the thick of it. Yep, one of the big two is here. It's not Hearts, but it's Motherwell. Stephen O'Donnell, who's with us, joining us, who's in this four-horse race for the title. Stephen, welcome back. Good to see you.
Good to be back.
Good to be in the presence of Peter, who was on stirring up a little bit at the weekend in sports team. Did I hear you? You said, I don't know why Rangers didn't go for it in the second half.
Yes, but that was fact, Paul, because I thought the manager shouldn't have taken the striker off because Celtic weren't dealing with it, and I think it was only being honest. And I think if you talk to Rangers supporters, some of them will agree and some of them will disagree.
Absolutely.
He's got a bulletproof vest on now. He sure has.
Yeah, I mean, it surprised a lot of people. You know, Danny Rule took on Martin O'Neill and the kind of war of words beforehand. But it's about what happened on the pitch. 2-2 at the weekend, but everyone's still talking about it. But Stephen, more and more people talking about you and Motherwell. You've quietly worked away. It's absolutely phenomenal. Another big win at the weekend.
Yeah, without doubt. I think it's been a really positive season so far to secure top six as early for Motherwell. I think it's amazing. The points total we've got, I'm sure, has got the accounts department in a bit of panic with the win bonuses having to get paid out. But I think, loads of positivity around the place, and hopefully it continues for the next 2 months.
Did you bring us in some coffees with the money that you're making?
No coffees. No, I'm here working. I need as much as I can.
Just in case.
Yeah, indeed. Because, Peter, we're just looking at it, because with Motherwell in action this weekend, tomorrow night's game is huge. We're going to hear from Martin O'Neill, who's been speaking this afternoon before heading up to Pittodrie for the game tomorrow night. And, you know, Celtic, if they'd lost at the weekend, I think you thought that would have been it. Well, it is what it is. They're still in it. How big is tomorrow night?
It's massive, Paul, because I think at this moment in time, if you look at it, if Celtic lose the game, then their next league match is Motherwell. And Motherwell, if they win their game on Saturday, go above Celtic anyway. But I think it's very difficult, the knock-on effect you would have. And it's never easy going to Pittodrie. I know that's an old cliche and whatever. Doesn't matter. I've played against very excellent Aberdeen sides and some not so good. Yeah. But they always gave you a tough game. Now, you were always asked questions, and I don't see that being any different tomorrow night. And I never know what Celtic's going to turn up. If it's the Celtic for the first half, I fancy Aberdeen. If it's the Celtic for the second half, I fancy Celtic.
Yeah, I think we were up at Aberdeen a couple of weeks ago in the Cup, and albeit it was a dramatic game with sendings off, but the conditions, the pitch wasn't great, just with, I think, the way everybody's pitch is feeling just now. But the wind was terrible. The fans can get up for any. It's a great club, and if they're up for it against Celtic and Rangers, they will certainly be. And the manager Peter Levin, who's in trying to stabilise it just now, he's doing a decent job. And as I said, it will be a very tough game for Celtic.
The manager's getting involved now as well, Derek McInnes. So we spat after the game as well. It's his, is it starting to get to him? Charlie Mulgrew last night was saying, well, Hearts can only throw it away now. And I think that's kind of West of Scotland psychology, especially from a man who said he'll go and buy a drink in Gorgie Road if Hearts win. I mean, Hearts are now the favourites, Peter.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. I don't care what anybody says, Paul. I would always rather be in first place. You know, I've said that consistently when Celtic have been there. I'd rather be in first place. I don't care if other teams have got games to play or whatever. If our games are done, you're quite happy to be sitting up there and getting chased down, because it's up to you to continue to win your games, and nobody can affect you if you're at the top of the tree. Whereas it's Celtic are into every game, I believe, having to win, which is always the case. I know that when you pull a Celtic jersey on, but I genuinely believe that. I don't think they can afford to lose another game, actually. That's how tight it is. But I agree with you 100%. I think Motherwell's going to have a big say in it. Whether they're champions or not, they'll definitely have a massive say in where the title goes.
0808 17 17 700. You know the number, the Go Radio Football Show with Burger King. Gary's been on already, a Motherwell fan, saying thank you, Stephen, so far. And did you enjoy watching the game then on Sunday? Because you could put your feet up after doing the business on Saturday.
Yeah, no, look, I think it was a different experience for me watching it and going, who do you want to draw here? Like, what's kind of suits us? But no, look, I think from a Motherwell perspective, you want to try and get as far away from Hibs as possible, because Hibs are a good side, and Falkirk obviously behind them. But the Celtic Rangers game was more just, you wanted entertainment. That what you're wanting to see is, and if we're in said title race, I think, as I said, a wee bit hasty with that, but I want the league to be exciting. I cried for it. The last time I remember it being exciting was when Rangers won the league. It wasn't exciting. When Rangers won the league, I was on Sports Scene and I spoke about it maybe a couple of months before. I was like, the league's over. And it was nothing to play for. It was boring. This year we've got everything I've wanted. We've got 3, possibly 4 teams in the hunt, and all to play for. A split that's going to be, every game's going to be massive when it comes, and because I just don't see anyone really leading away with it before the split. So it's going to be all to play for, and you've got ourselves fluttering on the edge, and then you've got the other 3 with the real pressure and real results needed.
You're saying you're on the edge, but you've got that game in hand. Peter mentioned that if you win against Dundee, then, and depending what happens with Celtic may well win tomorrow night, in which case they'd go 58 points, but any slip up and you would either join them or overtake them this weekend. It's fascinating. Loads of calls coming in. 0808 17 17 700. We know who the referee is for the weekend. John Beaton did well, Peter.
Listen, no complaints. And listen, you know how critical I am of VAR. I thought it was a fantastic spot because I never seen anything when I was doing the game, and I never noticed it first. I wondered what they were checking for.
Don't think anyone spotted it, did they?
But that's what I'm saying. So I've been very, very critical. So I've got to put my thumbs up and say well done in the respect to that, because I am critical of it. But to get that shout, whoever saw it, was a brilliant shout, because I thought it was Jack Butland that saved it.
I thought that's exactly what VAR I felt was brought for, was when refs make blatant mistakes, and it wasn't a blatant mistake to anyone. We all thought the same. Oh, what's he stopped the game for? And it was a great spot, great decision. When you see it, it's. I think they could have been a wee bit quicker on it, because it looked pretty blatant when you then seen it. But that was at VAR. Big kudos, delighted. And can we see more of the decisions just left?
Sure, exactly. Stop getting involved when there's no need.
And that one was certainly, I thought, spot on.
Don Robertson is the referee for Sunday's 1 o'clock kickoff, isn't it?
Yes.
So that should be some game. Assisted by Ross McLeod and David Room. And it's Andrew Vallis is back, Andrew Dallas, on VAR duties this weekend. We're going to go on the lines in a second or two. Michael's standing by. Let's hear from Martin Neal. He spoke today. He was asked about Hatate, who of course was he was a game changer, wasn't he, in the second half when he came on?
Well, Rio has to get the best out of himself, that's the most important thing. If you had been asking that question to any of my managers about me as a player, they would have stared right through you and said it's up to him as the player. This is it. Rio's been a really fine footballer here, and it's been a tough whole season for him. It's been a tough whole season for the football club. So if he could maintain that form, and then he can be an asset to us in terms of encouragement here, which is something that we can give him. Absolutely, he gets all the encouragement in the world.
He made such a difference along with Tenecte in the second half, Peter.
Yes, but I agree. As you know, I don't listen to what Martin says prior to coming on to the show, and it's exactly what I'd said. Rio Hatate, I remember there was a period during Brendan Rodgers, and Brendan actually ended up leaving him out. It was probably the first time he'd been left out with Celtic. He just wasn't, his body language was terrible. He wasn't working hard enough. If he lost the ball, he didn't try and retain it back, didn't get back quickly enough. But everything he did at the weekend was excellent. He was finding space. I think Rangers done that obviously with the fact that they taken the striker off, and they never get that balance right. And when you've got players like him, there is no doubt his talent on the ball. I mean, there was a couple of opportunities he had prior to it I thought he should have scored with. Yeah, he's more than capable of. But he's a talented boy. And Martin Neal's 100% right. It's down to you as an individual. Stephen will tell you, he's played long enough, and I played long enough. The manager wasn't there to just go and pick your chin up all the time. Sure. You've got to go and demand yourself, and you've got to get after the ball. And it's sometimes your body language. And I know everybody's not the same. I understand that, Paul. But too many occasions this season, he's been the same. And it's even the team's not playing well, it's much more noticeable when somebody's not working as hard. He maybe thinks he is, but he definitely isn't.
I do think that's something, though, that can be helped with. And I know there's a lot of politics in the background with it, but the atmosphere at Parkhead can sometimes be the thing that can lift players, be the motivation for them. And that's not quite been the same, because there's been this underlying feeling about the board and all that kind of stuff. And yes, it's easy to say the players should switch off to it, they've got a job to do, but it isn't as easy as that, especially when you're maybe someone from a different culture, of course, not really understanding why there's this hostility towards not them personally, but he's kind of getting it because he's at the forefront, and it can maybe just have that wee negative effect that then drops him a couple of percent, and its percentages make big differences.
Ready for phone calls? Here we go. Let's take the first one. 0808 17 17 700. And Michael is on from Liverpool. Good evening, Michael.
Good evening, Peter. Good evening,
Michael.
Paul.
Thank you. And it's
who's
Stephen.
the other guy?
It's Stephen O'Donnell. It's the legend.
evening.
Scotland.
You're kidding, you
Stephen
don't know
O'Donnell,
who
how
it
you
is.
doing, Stephen?
Michael's in Liverpool.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay, Michael. Yeah.
I just want to say that's a beautiful statue of Tommy Gemmell.
Craig Nuke.
And
yeah.
But anyway.
No, that's a great
I
point,
want to
actually.
get on
So,
to-
Peter, you were there. The statue to Lisbon Lion, Tommy Gemmell. What's it like scoring in a European final? I know people would ask him that, and he said,
He said, what one?
Which one? That's
Exactly.
amazing.
You know, he scored in 2 for a left back,
yeah.
but what a wonderful player he was.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate enough to meet him many occasions when I was in there as a player.
Yeah.
The statue is fantastic as well. It doesn't look like Ronaldo. You know, the one
I know
Ronaldo
what you're
done.
saying. Yeah,
But
sure.
I didn't know if it was
Madeira.
Tommy or Danny Kay. You know,
well, that's the compliment, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
For the older
what a wonderful,
viewers and
wonderful
listeners.
player.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Mary, his wife, and that, and the family, and that, they've done a terrific job there, and it's a beautiful part, and it's lovely for everybody to see,
Yeah.
not just Celtic supporters,
No,
because he was
sure.
such.
Yeah.
I know he never got a lot of caps for Scotland, which is quite incredible when you look at that Lisbon Lion team. But it's a wonderful statue for a person. Will we ever have a Scot who's scoring many finals like that, a European final at that particular time? You know, for a Scottish club,
that's true.
It's
Yeah,
quite incredible,
it's great.
actually. You know, for a left back also.
Yeah, Stephen, as you know, in Lanarkshire we've got the Davy Cooper Memorial as well. I pass it often down at Hamilton. I'm going to go up and see it, Craig Nuke. It's brilliant, isn't it?
I didn't realise until about 2 weeks ago I was at a walk with my family on the Sunday and passed Davy Cooper.
Yes,
And I didn't realise, I'd always seen it, but I never knew who it was. I'd never taken it in. I
Yeah.
felt when I read it, and my wee boy was trying to teach him, helping him read, and I'm like, I didn't realise. And obviously Motherwell and Rangers,
Sure.
and then obviously with Tommy Gemmell, I was at Craig Nuke at the weekend and Sunday morning, so I probably should pay a wee visit to that.
You should. And get your wee boy to watch either Tommy Gemmell or, videos of, or Davy Cooper, not his dad.
But
I'm
the funny,
kidding.
the funny thing was, Paul,
Yeah.
I was at the opening,
Yeah.
obviously, and you could hear the Motherwell fans singing.
Oh,
Because the game was going on at the time.
Ah, yeah.
You know, and it was
Yeah,
on at the
sure.
same time because it was 2:30 near enough by the time it started. And it was
Great.
great to hear the Motherwell
Sure.
supporters, as you say, going to the games, because that was never always been the case.
No,
You
of
could hear
course.
Motherwell supporters.
No,
I wouldn't have knew there was a game on, but it tells you how well they're doing.
It's fantastic. Michael, what are you thinking then about Celtic?
Basically, I'm thinking about what Peter was talking about with Hatate's body language. With regard to that, Dyson Maeda, he is just, his body language is shocking. I would actually drop him for tomorrow night's game, actually.
Who would you play, though?
I would play, he's probably better through the middle.
Do you think?
But
All right.
Luke McKibben should have scored. But Celtic were awful in the first half.
Yeah.
Because Rangers totally bullied them all over the park and that.
Yeah.
But
All right. What about Maeda then? What would you say? Peter, I'll throw it to you.
I mean, because I'm thinking about Japanese guys, right?
Yeah.
And their mentality, they're very disciplined people and players. And he doesn't run about like Usain Bolt anymore.
He still was tracking back, though, wasn't he? Peter, what would you say then?
No, I thought he
Yeah.
was very disappointing. I thought both. I
okay.
thought it was very difficult for him. And to be fair, the front three I thought it was difficult for. And part of the reason was for that, Rangers put so much pressure on Celtic's backline, didn't allow them to pass. It's same in midfield. Celtic didn't pass forward. I felt for Adamu more than probably anybody because everybody's criticising a centre forward.
I heard you saying he didn't get supply.
But the service, it was terrible. He never got any service, and any service he did get, he was fighting two giants. It was really, really poor in the first half. But I agree, Maeda was really poor, too easy to mark. Sterling just went tight on him. He miscontrolled the ball. He gave the ball away. I don't see him as a centre forward. But on Saturday, I had two bits of movement. One for the header for the penalty kick.
Yeah.
And then there was another one just before it, the header, if you remember, straight at the
That's right,
goalkeeper.
yep.
He
Could have
was
done
probably,
better,
Yeah, he
but-
should have probably done better. And in that particular, but he's been way below. But I said to you last year, Paul, I know he got 34 goals, and I keep saying that.
I think it's 33. You say 34, but anyway.
But in
yeah.
the summertime, I'd have taken whatever you got.
Of course.
I'd have made
And
sure
you
I had
should have.
somebody to replace him.
Of course.
But
Yeah.
I'd have taken what you got because I never seen him ever having a season like that again, and that's been proven.
Sure, it's part of that story of the summer of discontent for
Yeah.
Celtic. He was due to go. He was packed and ready to go. Stephen, what do you make of the good, the bad?
Look, I think what's certainly with Dyson Maeda, and when I've played against him, when he's at it, he is nothing short of a big problem. His pace, his energy, and you can say obviously at times maybe his end product can be better, but again, last season that was not even close to being the answer. And this season again, with a lot of players at Celtic have maybe not hit the heights they're capable of, but there has been a lot of unrest all over the place with the management change and things like that. It's something I've found maybe harder myself, and I don't know how these boys will feel, so I can only speculate. But see, proving managers constantly when you maybe thought you've, not that you don't want to prove people, but it's like you're constantly having a fight to prove that you're good enough, and it can be tiring. And maybe this season he's had Rodgers, then bringing in some players, getting rid of Ida. You think he maybe he's going to be the main man, different players come in, and then you go Nonce, having him put, and then Martin O'Neill in between. It's hard to be settled and really hit your stride whenever things are chopping and changing so much.
The only thing I would say about that, I'm always conscious of that, but I think it comes with that as a responsibility. If managers coach differently, you've had to learn to play a back three, you play right back, you'll play right centre back, you'll play middle, whatever. And you'll do it because you think, well, I've got to stay in the team, so how am I going to do that? And I think sometimes it's easy to make that point. You've got to remember, and I hate going back to when we played, every day we could have been replaced. And a new manager coming in all the time and asked to do certain things. I think sometimes we give players, and I've been there myself, we give you a get out of jail card. And I don't think they deserve that at times. I don't think they deserve it at any times. You can have bad games, but it can't be as consistent in that and look for an excuse and saying, oh, the fans are not in or the fans are not supporting the team. You've still got a responsibility to perform at your best.
So who do you think will be up front tomorrow night? While you're thinking about it for Michael and for everyone else, Martin O'Neill was asked today about that slow start, the first half when they went 2 down at Ibrox.
Trip to Ibrox is going to be difficult in itself, but we certainly can't spend 45 minutes on the back foot and not really competing properly, and that's against any side. Never mind Rangers. So from our viewpoint, I think that we've got to try and get a grip of the game earlier than we're doing.
2-2 at the end. He said, look, there's no room for error, being clear about it. You heard Peter, if Celtic lose tomorrow night at Pittodrie, that's probably it for Celtic. Game over. Here's Martin O'Neill.
Yeah, that's the message. But the players know that themselves. You know, we've left ourselves in this position through one thing or another, and we've got to try and see it through. This is... I think this total focus is on the game.
It's now or never.
Do you think he misses Kyogo?
Well, good point.
Who misses Kyogo?
Yeah, Martin O'Neill. Would you like to have him there?
Because they were a good player.
Yeah.
No,
they
I
were a
think
good player,
Maeda.
him and
I
Maeda.
beg your pardon. Sorry, right? Okay.
That's probably a question you need to ask the people involved around Parkhead, because you need to know he might not have been pals with Kyogo. You can assume, but I think if he was close to him, I think the bigger thing in his mind would be the fact that he was meant to be going to Brentford and his family was meant to be packed. I think you've probably had a contract, probably double, triple your salary at a league that they've probably dreamed to play in. The Premier League is where people tend to come. Sadly, Celtic is a stepping stone to the Premier League for most players. And he had that opportunity and it was kind of pulled from under him, if that's the right word.
Yeah. Michael, if you had the choice... on you go.
I still think Celtic need a full rebuild.
Oh yeah, sure. I think everyone does. I
don't think Oxford Chamberlain's he didn't do very well in the Old Firm game.
He needs game time. Michael, I need to ask you this.
I think VR's ruining football.
What, are you talking about that decision at the weekend? Did that not save your weekend?
No, in England as well. They've done it against Liverpool, and it hit McAllister's back.
Okay, no, listen, we could go on and on. Michael, if it's not going to be Celtic, looks as though it's not going to be Rangers, Hearts or Motherwell for you. We've got Stephen O'Donnell here.
Hearts.
Stephen O'Donnell's here. You're going to break his heart.
Is
that a pun there? Break his heart?
They've got a lot of good players.
Yeah.
I mean, I just wish Celtic should have got Masvanisi because he's a brilliant player. He's fast.
Only 21 goals.
Magic.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
Brilliant, by the way.
It is, isn't it?
I mean, I don't really rate Banchara.
Well,
I don't rate Adamu. I wouldn't buy them, to be honest with you.
You're a hard audience to please, aren't you?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm
All right.
I'm tough as all boots, me.
All right, Michael, are you back up for a game soon? You back up before the end of the season?
I was up for the. I'd be up for the maybe for one other game, but
Michael,
I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
I was up in Glasgow a couple of weeks ago.
Okay. Right, we don't need the full itinerary, but I just wondered if you were going to come back. Michael, thank you so much. Good to hear from you,
No
Michael.
worries,
there
Michael.
in
Cheers,
Liverpool.
Cheers,
Cheers.
Michael.
0808 17 17 700. Stephen, he gets very. He was really worried about it, a month or two ago, the Wilfred Nancy thing. And it is so important to Celtic fans, Rangers fans, the Motherwell fans as well. I mean, for the first time, you just mentioned there about, trying to perform for different managers. But you must be loving it just now, you and Baresi at the back there.
Yeah, no, look, I
Paul
think
McGinn.
I think it came out today that it was like 21 clean sheets?
21, yeah.
Paul's been involved in 17, I'm 15.
Yeah.
And it's good going. I think we're fortunate that the balance is very good in the team, and we defend as a unit and we attack as a unit. Even the rest defence, whenever we're on the attack, is always pretty much very organised, and it's something the manager's always relentless with. And it's just trying to make wee improvements every game to be better and better, and try and keep the standards high.
And there's a calmness about the team as well. Against Rangers, when you went down, Barry said he noticed it was right, okay, we can come back. You looked as though the manager, the players, you don't panic.
Yeah, look, he's not really, in my eyes, I don't really think he's panicked once. Even when he's a couple of kind of bigger players getting injured, he's not allowed that sense to fluster him. I've seen managers that you can see they're at sixes and sevens. And it's something I would probably liken to Steve Clarke, the calmness around decisions, the calmness at half time, talking about what he's seen and how to improve that. It's a really, really good attribute, and something I'm sure will bode as well.
Motherwell fans, we have Stephen O'Donnell in the house along with Peter Grant. 0808 17 17 700.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
Thanks for making the switch. So many people have been tuning into the programme on Go Radio and also on YouTube and in some other platforms as well. More details to come to you. Stephen O'Donnell has joined us tonight along with Peter Grant, and we're previewing, of course, there's a game tonight as well. We won't forget Dundee United against St Mirren. Peter, St Mirren really, really need a win.
Yeah, both teams really do,
Yeah,
Paul,
sure.
because Dundee United are getting dragged in there as well, and it's been really difficult. The pitch is not great at all. It's not helping Jim Goodwin. But I think Johnny Russell's a fantastic signing in the respect of his personality. But Johnny was involved with us quite a lot with Stephen with Scotland at that
of
particular
course.
time.
So he signed today, didn't he?
Yeah, and I thought he was a
Yep.
proper player, you
Yep.
know. I really thought he was a much better player even than I thought he was. I always thought he was a good player.
Yep.
But professionalism-wise, his work ethic, but I think it rubs off on you at times. And I must admit, and I know it's going to sound terrible here, when I looked at Dundee United, I went to see them pre-season, I think, before the season started, and they'd never had a Scots player on the pitch.
I remember.
And I think sometimes you have to be careful, you know, because especially when the results are not going well, who's going to be the one in the dressing room that's going to galvanise them? But if you've got all different voices that don't really understand, sometimes somebody like Johnny Russell coming in can be so important. So I hope he does a fantastic job
I
for
think
Jim.
even his energy around it, I think his quality is undoubted. I don't know, obviously, physically how he's looking, a wee bit older, but we've obviously seen with myself and Paul that doesn't need to be a massive issue. But it's the energy and his personality around the place. He's a really great guy. Somebody I have so much time for, and delighted he's back playing. Some
of the fixtures have been moved around just before the split, as you would expect for TV. So Hearts against Livy, it's going to be the 4th of April. It's been moved to the Sunday the 5th, and at 2 o'clock. Then the Celtic game at Dundee has been moved back to 4:30. So, Peter,
disappointed
because you don't like it being afterwards.
And I don't think Hearts should always get it because they play on a Saturday before everybody else, so they're trying everything. You know, for Hearts, there's only one game, I think. Hearts playing the Saturday evening, Celtic playing the afternoon, but Rangers don't play it the Sunday. So there's definite, if Celtic win, Hearts win, there's a massive pressure becomes on Rangers. I think it'd be fair if you say Celtic, I could understand because Celtic are playing in Europe. Now they're no longer in Europe. I think that now, with things being so tight, Motherwell should get that as well, and it should be looked at for Motherwell if they're on any television games that they play at the same time as everyone else, because Celtic have done it all season, been catch up, and it's Paul, I've been involved in it. It's massive. People don't realise the difference.
So you feel that's a help to Hearts?
100%.
Rangers take the final slot with their game against Falkirk, moved back from Saturday, April the 11th, so the following weekend. They're on Sunday the 12th, a 12 noon kick-off for that one.
But that's what I mean. So Hearts, I think there's only one game Hearts play after Celtic, not even Rangers, because Rangers don't play it the Sunday. So that is unfair. because the tension comes from the stands. Now, you heard Hearts even talking about it the weekend. You heard Braga talking about it. You heard Derek McInnes, probably the first time they've mentioned it. You could sense a little bit because Hearts were very comfortable but never scored right up to half time.
Right, yeah.
But the second half, Aberdeen had a couple of half chances and there was a nervousness round about. And it makes some difference when you're involved in that for your supporters. Because if you need a goal and your supporters know the result already, it's a hell of a difference. A nervousness comes into the players, good and bad.
It can come in just that 10, 15 minutes.
Absolutely,
sooner.
absolutely, 100%. It's massive, so it's a great call for Hearts. That
Right. So Peter saying that it's not really fair.
no, I don't think so, Paul. I don't think so. Now that everybody's out it, when everybody, Motherwell, the 4 guys that can win the league should all be playing near enough at the same time. I know television dictates, but it can't be a day apart. It could be the same time, and it's up for people what game they want to choose.
Or put
to
it on
play.
another Sky channel as well.
Exactly. Whatever game they want to go and choose
Quite
to
a
go
number
to.
of channels there.
Because
Yep,
if
yep.
you want that freedom, but the team that's leading it, I wonder if you look back and Hearts weren't at the top of the league, I'll tell you what, Hearts wouldn't be on first. That's for sure. They wouldn't be on Sky, never mind anything else.
I think it's something that probably Celtic, especially in Rangers in Europe and stuff, have probably grown used to a bit more.
Yeah.
So I do think that maybe, say, a Motherwell or a Hearts being the Sunday would be a bit more nervy for them. But I think what would be better is maybe when we see the split, how it works out in the split. I think when the split happens, it will be. I think there's a then much bigger advantage to playing in the Saturday.
Rangers fans, many of them, I mean, the atmosphere pre-match up until half-time was off the scale. And then the second half when Martin Hill made some changes, and then later on Nadiri came off, Diamandi came on. Nadiri may be tiring. I know quite a few Rangers fans are saying, look, he was tiring, but he made changes and it didn't work. And the Rangers fans, many of them in the end were really, really unhappy. And there were questions to Danny Rule. What about your team's mentality? You were so far ahead in the first half, but you came away with 1 point.
Well, no, I will not accept this about mentality. I think this is always easy. Everyone who played football knows during a game there's a story, there's a momentum for one team, for the second team. It's about that we continue our performance over 95 minutes. If we do this, then they would have not a chance to come back. I think this is also part, and we have now 6 points, the gap. Still 9 games to go. I will be not tired and say this again and again. This year it's about the final match day, not today, and we will fight for every point until the end. And next week in the cup we have the next chance against them. We will try to improve. This is key, and then we go again. I think 9 games. It's massive. It's a lot of things to go and for playing, and I totally believe to my players.
But the 49,000 Rangers fans who were in the ground, a couple of thousand Celtic fans, they wanted a victory and they felt they were going to get it. So he was asked, what happened that second half drop off?
Yeah, there's also opponent. I think they stepped also up then in the second half, and that's what I try to describe. There's a momentum in a game influence. Some individual performances, then you lose 2 or 3 times the ball, you cannot bring the next pass to your teammate, and that takes a little bit more the trust and the belief from your own performance. But we will take the first 45 minutes as a role model, but we have to improve the second half, of course.
Peter, what would you say?
I think Danny Rowe gave them momentum, Celtic, to be perfectly honest with you, because I said at the weekend, Celtic were dead and buried really at half-time. That's the way I felt. I thought, I was delighted it was only 2-0 because Rangers had dominated and everything. And then he goes on about duels and how important they are. Celtic never won a second ball. Rangers were going long, Rangers going to everything because they knew they were doing that. So they got, and I thought the way they played was really good. They got up to the front men, they got it back in the middle of the pitch, they got it to their wide players. Mikey Moore was excellent. His 2 strikers worked to centre backs and they knew their pressing style. All these things they'd done exceptionally well, so it allowed Rangers to be further up the pitch. As soon as he made the substitution, and I know people say Diamandi, they were wanting Diamandi to start, but it was different because all of a sudden you see the frustration that comes in to Chermiti. Can't press. Gassama was on as a sub and he's playing it right back near enough. And every ball that Rangers cleared out their box, Callum McGregor picked up, or a Celtic centre back, or a Rojo, or Sarachi. They picked the ball up and just kept the ball. And if you notice, that's where the goal came from. I think his substitution, and people say, Nadiri's this, Nadiri's that, he's not at this or not at that. Fine. You should have played Diamandi then as a 10. And people are saying to me, I put Diamondo on to do that. No, he didn't. He went flat 3 in the middle of the pitch, what he done at Celtic Park, which he needed to do at Celtic Park because they were so bad against Celtic in the first period to get out of jail, and he played in there to cover that gap. That was a completely different way he done it. So I think the manager made his first mistake, I thought, was at Celtic Park in the first half. His second mistake was on Saturday, taking the centre forward off.
Stephen?
Look, I do think momentum, and it's one of the reasons why players get frustrated at small refereeing decisions. It can be the smallest of thing that can just change a corner that's the wrong decision that gets given, can swing a crowd, can get a crowd lifted if it's obviously saying Saturday or Sunday more favourable for Rangers being at home, or a strong tackle that gets let go. Things can change and help build momentum. I think the substitutes for Celtic did kind of create a change for Celtic and really help bring Celtic in the front foot. They had nothing to lose and were playing probably traditionally how I'd see Celtic a bit more patient with the ball, moving it side to side, and then you Taneke looking dangerous, and obviously Maeda through the middle, whose movement when he wants to can cause real problems. So I think we can criticise Rangers well, but I thought it was just much better from Celtic in the first half and much better from Rangers in the second half, and much better from Rangers in the first, and neither side really had an answer to them when they were on top.
Here's Jack. I think it's Jack is on saying the manager, Danny Rule, deserves credit for being so bold pre-match in his selection when all the experts were calling for Diomande to start. He said, I think the players let him down by dropping deep, not engaging, starting with Chermiti flagging, he was flagging and not closing down, and then Raskin and Suter switching off completely for the 2 goals. So Fernandes and Romans both missed very good chances before Celtic scored, which is true. Rangers could have been 3 up, maybe 4 up. Still a long way to go. Big Rangers fan there who's on. Who'd be a football manager? Yeah, I think you could take the money for it. Let's hear a wee bit more from Danny Rule about that second half.
I think there were some moments where we lose the ball then in areas what we shouldn't. Yeah, we give them some transition moments, then the field was too stretched, we lose a little bit the compactness. I think we try tend to stabilize the midfield with a third midfielder. But football is then about energy, and then you felt when you come not really in this momentum back, then there's an opponent that tried everything. I have to look back when I count all the big chances except from the pen. I'm not sure how many chances they had really. What me makes a little bit in these 2 situations, I think we had always not the right positioning in our box. I think this is crucial. Also by the pen, there's a 5 against 3 situation. If we man mark and we have an open body position in our box, then we can defend this situation. But this is football. Yeah, we have to learn. We have to take it. We will speak about this, and then we will try next week to make it better to come in the next round.
But the Rangers fans were desperate to get the title. And listen, they're still in there. They're only, 6 points behind Rangers, but running behind Hearts, but running out of games. 08, 17, 17, 700. What about those stats there, Peter? I'm just looking at the stats. It was shots on target, match stats. Rangers 3, Celtic 7. Shots on target.
I was really surprised when I seen the stats, Paul, I must admit, considering what Rangers were like in the first half. But you think Sinisola never had any saves really to make. I just think Danny Role there, I know the point he's talking about. If you remember it, Chermiti backheels the ball in the middle of the pitch. They give the ball away. Right? So that's fine. And he did make an error because they were on the counter to Celtic at that particular time. But if you look at the difference how Sinisola could get the ball to Dane Murray or Liam Scales easily. In the first half, not one Celtic defender could lift his head to play the ball. Sinisola, who's he going to kick it to? Adamu was up there on his own. Rangers won everything back. So it's okay to say momentum changed and went by an extra man in midfield, but allowed Celtic to dominate because they never had that out ball and they trained for that. All of a sudden, and Steve, we're talking off here, Stephen's right in the respect. Gassama, come on. He never done the same job that was in the right wing. So he was going back the way. So it allowed the left back, Sarachi, to come into Rangers as half. It allowed Liam Scales to step out with the ball. Cal McGregor started to dictate the game. That all changed for Rangers as substitution. Hatate come on, done excellent for Celtic, but the domination became Celtic's because they had more time on the ball, and they never had that.
Should you have brought on a Mayoffsky maybe then?
But
if Nadiri was tiring.
I'm not even saying that, Paul. You could have brought Diamondi still on, but played him against Callum McGregor.
Sure. Okay.
And just said, right, go and play off Callum McGregor and get support to the front. So there's me personally, I think there's one other guy done it as well as Nadiri and Chermiti did at the weekend. One other Rangers player's done it the best when I've seen any team trying to do it was Barami. And I know he's been out of the team, but he seemingly played really well last week.
He did, yeah.
But I had a play with him on there, and he was excellent against Callum McGregor at playing that role because he knows when to spring and put pressure on, and Rangers never go out. And you can see that on the match stats as you talk about where Celtic's positioning was and where Rangers' was and where the pressure was. So I think the manager's going out of jail with taking the centre forward off, as in changing the one, not having that one closer to Callum McGregor.
I do think though when they're 2-0 up, you then maybe as a player, maybe you shouldn't have it, and it would be interesting to know if the manager instructed to be a bit more tentative. But you know you've got something to protect. It's in a massive game. You're fighting for a title. And if it's not geared into you to be so strict on that press every time, maybe tiredness comes into it, but also maybe that wee yard, he's talking about like energy. That wee yard makes a difference because it allows, say, a McGregor who gets head up or a Hatate to put it out the other side. And if they come off it just because they're maybe a wee bit hesitant, do I go because I don't want to leave what's behind me? It's the domino effect. And then before you know it, Celtic are out, they're out the other side, and they've now got control of the game 30, 40 yards up the pitch. So I do think maybe, obviously, his changes could have been different. But when you're 2-0 up, and if you're not that strict on your beliefs, it's the same when they'd made the changes against ourselves. Rangers took more defensive decisions and they were 1-0 up against 10 men. It was hard when we went to 10 men, it was hard for them to try and go and dominate again because they've already set into that way of thinking. So sometimes it can just be a mindset.
I mean, the first half was the benchmark. One more from him, Peter, from Danny Rule, then back to you.
I think it's not just Yusuf. We played the first 15 minutes outstanding football from all of us. I think that was, for me, it's really the new benchmark. This should be our game. This should be our future, how we want to play, how we want to dominate teams that are around us. And we have to learn from this. It's more than just 45 minutes, 50 minutes. I think all the supporters, all of us, we can be disappointed, but we will not giving up any chance for more this season.
I know what you're saying, but that's the actual point I'm trying to make. Celtic and Rangers are not allowed to take a backward step. I've never seen Rangers putting on defensive or Celtic putting on defensive. You've got to keep going at each other to try and knock each other out. That's the point. It's such a massive game. There was only going to be one winner if there was a draw, was Hearts. That's the only one it was hoping was going to be a draw, and probably Motherwell. That is the difficulty, and that's the choice you've got to make. But you're at Ibrox, Paul. You're dominating Celtic. Yeah, you started the first 10 minutes of the second half, 15 minutes, no problem.
They had a chance.
And then all of a sudden they bring that on. Listen, if I'm talking about Hearts here, Hearts are bringing 5 centre-backs on if they're one up. Hearts do it completely different. So I'm not saying you don't do that. What I'm saying is, at that moment in time, this is Rangers Football Club at Ibrox. They've got the fans behind them. Chermiti did backheel the ball and Celtic a wee bit of momentum. Then that doesn't change the game. But Celtic backley, where's Sinisalo going to kick the ball to? That's the point I'm trying to make. So he's not going to kick it anywhere. So he's got an easy throw out to his centre backs. He's got an easy throw out to his full backs. It becomes easier. And Celtic have got players that dominate. Rangers don't have players like that that can go and dominate and play. They don't want it. What they done in the first half suited every one of them. And I like that type of football. Into your strikers, get it down. You're playing in opposition's half. So I've no argument with that. So why change it? Because they were still in front 2-1. You know, that's the difference. And I'm saying, for me, that allowed Celtic to get that extra oxygen that they never had, and that allowed them back in. And that's why I'm saying, not taking the striker off, not playing someone in that area where Callum was, that they could still keep pressure on Celtic's back four, because Celtic are better at playing than Rangers are, as in football. If they want to come down to a football match, I think Stephen would say that myself. Celtic are a better football side when it comes to that, because that's the type of players they have. But they're not going to have that fight ball. Celtic can't go long into a centre forward because they don't play with 2 centre forwards, and they get dominated with Fernandes and Suter, whoever Celtic centre forward would have became. So Celtic were never going to kick it long. So they bypassed the midfield, but this time they didn't, and that's why I think he's getting out of jail.
We can't bypass the break, which is coming up. Then we're back. Then we'll take your call. 0808 17 17 700.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
Some of the headlines tonight. We're looking forward to the weekend. We gave you the referee for the big game for the Old Firm Derby Scottish Cup. We'll give you more news as we head towards the second hour of the programme. Just looking at some of the news coming in. Berto Askew, of course, we'll be talking soon about Manager of the Year. We're not talking about it tonight, Stephen, but I'm really interested in, what he's like to work with. We all saw him in the cameras. He was obviously at the game, as you would expect, to watch Celtic.
I thought he was looking well in his suit. I thought he was well dressed.
You don't see the gaffer that way?
I have not seen him dressed like that. No, he was well dressed, and I'm sure he was taking his notes. He's one thing he certainly is meticulous, and any wee advantage he could have seen, he could have got from watching that game, he'd be coming away with, and hopefully can help us in the final 10 games. And you hear all the noise about it, people saying he'd be the favourite to be the manager at Celtic next year. Don't want to put you in a position there, of course not, but there must be chat about it. See, Ross McCormack somewhere else was saying no, I don't think it would be him, but he's going to have options. Look, I think he's probably already had options, and rightly so. He's done an exceptional job, came in, got the team playing a really enjoyable brand of football that the fans, the media are enjoying. And what is always the question is that can that brand, especially when you maybe have a smaller budget than a lot of the teams, can it bring results? And this season it has, and under our manager it has. So no, he deserves all the credit he's getting, and hopefully if it was to be in the summer, we're sending him on his way with an exceptional season and not just a very good season. Joe's on, season ticket holder along with his family. He wants to say, what's he like to work out? I would imagine it could be pretty tough at times. What can you tell us without getting fined? At the start, it was intense. You're kind of playing that, probably the same as when most managers come in. You're kind of dipping your toe in. Who does he like? Who does he not like? You're worried selfishly for yourself. Sure. I know I was. Yeah. And then obviously things start to settle. You see the style is starting to get cemented. We're playing FC20, and his analysis was amazing. Like, this is what I want. Going hard on points about retaining the ball from long balls from opposition to kind of nullify their threat, and I was really enjoying kind of learning from it, and hoping that I could implement said strategies and styles, and thankfully when I've played, I've been able to put in some decent performances, and so has the rest of the team. We've all answered, because albeit we have made maybe 6-7 very good signings, there's also a core that was there last season. Yeah. And it's good to see that you can adapt. I think I heard Stephen Welsh say it before, that there is Scottish defenders that can play out for the back and want the ball, and I think we've showed that, and again, long may it continue, however long that is. Peter, it's remarkable, isn't it?
No, he's done a fantastic job, but people think he's a mug, Paul. He's had managers' jobs before, and you always learn good, bad and different. Things at work, it takes you a little bit of time, and probably it's ended up being the perfect job for him, because no matter what he's ended up doing with Motherwell now, it's as good a football as I've seen. And I used to go, obviously you'll remember the Willie Pettigrews, and I used to go and see Motherwell playing Celtic, all that, and Joe Wark, all these guys. Now, I would say that was probably an unbelievable team at that particular time. This is the best football team I've seen, and they're the one that I enjoy watching the most. But coming with that, and when you move up and become a manager elsewhere, and you've seen so many managers go into another level, then there's an extra pressure comes, because whatever Motherwell do, it's been unbelievable this season. There's a different pressure. Motherwell going into this, Hearts are nervous, Rangers are nervous, Celtic are nervous. Motherwell going in there enjoying it, because they never. And I know Stephen maybe said different as a player, because I never enjoyed it. I just wanted to go. Every game was the same to me. But what I'm trying to say is, usually you're fighting relegation. Usually you're trying to play in a certain system, a style, and it's not working. The fans are on your case. But because you're in the position you're in, you're staying in the top 6 now, all these things, and it can only get better for them between now and the end of the season, which I think it will. But the manager's got to take, as I say, remarkable credit for getting the players to have the belief in what they're trying to do. Bear in mind, and I keep going back to it, I think he had a worse record than Russell Martin before Russell Martin gets sacked. I think it was so, near enough the same. Draws, too many draws. And Russell Martin was the same.
Who's your 1, 2, 3, 4, Peter? What do you think just now? You can change it because there's so many twists and turns. So is it Hearts to win it?
Hearts to win it, they can only throw it away. So I'm not saying Hearts to win it, but I'll say they can only throw it away. Celtic and Rangers have got catch up to do. Motherwell are going to have a massive say in it. Whether they can go on to be champions for the position they're in because of the points turnaround between them. I'm only going between them and Hearts. That's the big thing. It's if the other clubs do themselves in against each other, draws, and obviously there's got to be victories here and there, that's when Motherwell could come to the fore, because I say there's less pressure on Motherwell than there is in the other 3. Hearts lose it now, it's a disaster for them. I played in 85, 86, and they went 22 games, I think, unbeaten.
Sure.
And we beat them in goal difference the last day.
Yep.
This would be a bigger disaster, I think, because they're in front.
I've never seen somebody so non-committal on a 1, 2, 3, 4.
I think
I'm sitting going, I can't give you a 1, 2, 3, 4, but you could.
we should find him on that one. Shouldn't we? Come on,
100%.
Peter, you've got that.
Hey,
Yeah.
who do you want to win it?
Oh, well,
The team that's in third place. That's who I want to win it.
We know you do, but I wonder what it's going to be. I heard you on the programme with young Rory the other week saying, top 3 would be brilliant, but that was a few weeks ago, whatever. Listen, you're going to give it everything, and everyone keeps saying this. You're going to have a big say in what happens.
Yeah, look, I think the mindset I've always tried to have is get one target at a time. Target was stay in the league. Then it was getting the top 6. We have fortunately done that very early. Now it's, can we secure Europe? Obviously that could be easier if Celtic or Rangers win the cup.
The cup.
So
Sure.
I'm going to be the biggest Celtic and Rangers fan ever. But so hopefully they win the cup, and then it means there's 5 places, which then makes our job even easier. If we were to secure Europe, then we can have a conversation. But at the moment, can we try and get 4th secured? Because I would love to have another European journey. Sorry, with
amazing.
Motherwell.
Yeah. And I'll come back to the World Cup later, because people have said, could Stephen O'Donnell come back in to the squad for the World Cup? Martin O'Neill, who's in the squad for tomorrow night? Because that's the next game. Well, obviously Dundee United, St Mirren tonight, but Celtic playing at Pittodrie. The injury update this afternoon?
No, we've got a couple of niggles, but we'll see how they are by the end of the afternoon. We'll travel up today to the game, and Casper's still not feeling great, so I'll leave him to recover properly.
And he spoke about Sinisalo and Schmeichel.
In terms of illness, it's I'm hoping that I've got just the medical side to keep me right, and I think that I'm hoping that he would be available for that time.
And he spoke about how well he was asked, what about Sinisalo then at the weekend against Rangers?
He's done really well in the 2 games that he's come in. He came in the match in the European game against Stuttgart, made a couple of really good saves, and did very well. And so he will start tomorrow night in the game. But I've been pleased with him. I thought he did fine at Rangers, really fine. And the goals that he conceded certainly weren't his fault. So I've been very pleased with him, and it's an opportunity. Not that it's worked out that way, or it's not the way that you'd want it to do, but it's an opportunity to see him, because I think he wants to be the number 1 goalkeeper here in the foreseeable future.
Stephen, the tale of the goalkeepers, obviously Sinisalo we can talk about, and also Jack Butland saving the penalty. Okay, the second rebound went in. It was a huge one for Celtic, but he's remarkable in penalty kick saves.
Yeah, the save, the first save was, I thought, good. The penalty maybe wasn't the best, but the second save for such a big guy getting up so quick and then getting across, I actually felt for him, because he's like, how many more can I do? But any
chance of a defender getting back in
100%,
there?
and I think certainly it was obviously very hard for a defender to get back in for the first chance that Hatate has after it. But certainly the second one, you're going, surely somebody could be there or thereabouts to. But
Peter, I credit you with you were involved with Jack Butland down at Birmingham City. So,
No, I said to you, he's got a terrific mentality, and I think he's a real good goalkeeper, and his save was excellent. But on that even his kicking changed, Paul, with the substitution. His kicking in the first half was so accurate into the 2 strikers, but all of a sudden he never had that. Maida was playing up a little bit further, making him kick from his hands. He was kicking with his left foot, he was shanking a few, but the save was brilliant. But I'm talking about that's how the effect it had on the team. But his save was brilliant. I think they were looking to see if Maida was in the box, because they thought maybe Maida had put the ball in the net. But Hatate, to be credit to him, he reacted as well. But I agree with Stephen. You're always told as players, follow in just and help the keeper out. And I could read Jack's lips what he was saying. I know, probably, and I can't repeat it on here what he was actually
was he
saying.
basically saying, where are you?
Aye, to the players.
I mean,
it
he
wasn't
must
as
be
nice as
gutted
that.
about that. Yeah,
absolutely.
Listen, do you know, it's 6 o'clock, the news is coming up, and then Stephen, you'll stay for the next hour with us. You're not going to leave early. Peter is here, we're stuck with him, and with me. We're back after the news.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King. Watch live at 5 p.m. weekdays on YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 1717 700. Talking Scottish football first.
Yeah, hour 2, Paul Cooney with Peter Grant, the Celtic legend, and the legend, Stephen O'Donnell. Scotland, Motherwell, Kilmarnock.
Never been called a legend in my life. I don't think.
I
But
think
I'll
he is.
take it.
I'll tell you what. When we think of Euro 2020, which of course was in 2021, man of the match, joint with Billy Gilmore. I think it was joint. Was it? Was it both of you in the draw with England? Or you just?
I know he got the trophy anyway. So
Oh, did he?
it was joint.
But it's been amazing. How many caps at 20?
26.
26. Amazing, Peter, isn't it? It's
Thoroughly
absolutely
deserved.
brilliant. Yeah,
Thoroughly deserved.
Indeed.
No doubt about that. Apart from that time we seen him outside left before we taken him on his first cap.
Oh.
We seen him outside left, going for right back to
spotted
outside
him?
left down at Kilmarnock.
All right.
You know, so
This is
but
you
he
now
still
at the
get in.
police.
He still get in. They still get in.
I ended up nearly, I don't know, you probably not remember it, but Albania was my first game. And I nearly scored on the counter.
That's correct.
From the outside left and bent one.
Wow.
How my Scotland career would have just realised if I'd scored that first game, first competitive match goal.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Just remember, there's matches on tonight. We've mentioned Dundee United against St Mirren, probably have team news in half an hour or so. And then in the Championship, Ayr United are up at Arbroath. Good luck up there this evening. And Dunfermline against Ross County. Ayr United need to pick up some wins, don't they? And up against Arbroath, who part-time, but they're surprising everyone, Peter.
No, the boys have done terrific
Yep.
since they came over there. But let me tell you, Gayfield is a real difficult place because even if the sun's splitting the trees, there's always a wind. And they know how to play that really, really well. And I'm not saying that takes away from their football and whatever, but definitely they know how to use the elements. And that is a tough place to win games of football. But you're right, Ayr going up there, it's going to be a cracker of a game, that.
The Dunfermline game, our goalkeepers just went on loan to Dunfermline.
Yeah.
So he'd kept a clean sheet. Aston Oxborough.
Right.
So he'd last season had done brilliant. Had a couple injuries since then, and obviously the form that the Callum Ward's been in just now, he's not really had a sniff. But it'll be good to see how he does. He's kept a clean sheet the last game, and he's also got Aberdeen at the weekend, which would be nice if
He was at Norwich. He was a Norwich boy. I knew him as a kid. He played along with my son there.
Just before the news, we were talking about Jack Butland and how well he did at the game, at the penalty. We're talking about Sinisalo. He'll be in tomorrow night. Schmeichel's still not feeling well at all. A bit more about the goalkeepers shortly. The injury update we heard from Martin O'Neill earlier on. I think he said a few little niggles, but nothing major. What's your Celtic team going to be for tomorrow night, Peter? I don't need it just now, but soon. Who would you play tomorrow evening? Gary's on the line. I think he'll have an opinion on it in the Gorbals. Good evening, Gary.
Evening, guys.
Evening, Gary.
How are you, Gary? What do you think of it all after Sunday?
Yeah, but once now the dust has settled on Sunday, it was a game of two halves, as everybody's alluded to. We were woeful, as bad as I've seen Celtic in a long, long time. On Sunday, and I was actually going to go home at half time, to be fair.
What?
But,
were you honestly?
Honestly, it was that bad. It was genuinely that bad. I felt like that was it. But what a performance in the second half! What a turnaround! And the fact that we end up with 7 shots on target, and bear in mind, obviously Rio's penalty was probably 3 of them. But yeah, it was just
that's true.
That's a good point.
That's it. Well done, Gary.
It was a much better performance, and Martin obviously rang the changes, and we changed the shape a wee bit. So yeah, it all worked out, and we stole a point in the end, which was brilliant. So, but it means nothing unless we go up to Aberdeen tomorrow and get all 3 points. So I know they've not won since the end of January, but I think this will be a really tough game, and it's one of those ones where we spoke about it earlier in the season and says, the games that you kind of win 2-1 in the last minute, you don't want to see a continuous kind of reign of form of that. But at the end of the day, this is the kind of games, midweek, horrible games when you have to go to places like Fir Park and Aberdeen, and they make it really tough for you. And I think that it will be tough tomorrow, but hopefully we can come away with the 3 points.
Here's what your manager thinks.
Getting really, really tight, but the games are running down. So, again, no room for error from our viewpoint, from the position that we find ourselves in. So, psychologically, I don't know. I can only treat the game just on its merit and go for it and try and win. It won't be easy for us in Aberdeen. I've never had an easy game at Pittodrie in all my time managing. So, and I would expect exactly the same. So, and the players are expecting that as well.
What would you do with the team, Gary? Just before we get it from Peter, what would be your lineup? You were at the game. I mean, up front, what would you do? Is Chivanchara back in?
Yeah, I think I'd actually like to see Chivanchara and Adamu play off each other, kind of thing, just like a kind of Sutton Larson kind of partnership, just the big man, wee man. So I don't think he will do that. I don't think he'll go 2 up top. I think he'll he'll probably put Taneke back in. I would drop Dice and Maeda. I think worsen a man down, to be honest. I think he's down tools. And even though Hatate had a great second half, I still believe there's no really going to be a revival of his Celtic career, to be fair, this season. So, I'd probably go with I'd put Oxlade-Chamberlain back in, McCowan, somebody like that, and then go Yang, Taneke, and probably toss of the coin with Shranchara, because if you're putting Shranchara up, that's brilliant if you're going to give him aerial supply.
Yeah.
But Adamu, I felt really bad for on Sunday because we were just hoofing the ball up to nobody. Peter will know that himself. But I think just a wee bit of composure tomorrow night, and hopefully Adamu can start linking up some of those moves like we have seen him do so far.
Stephen O'Donnell, what would you say?
Well, I was going to ask, do we know why Shranchara didn't start on Sunday, or was there a reason?
I'd have probably said because they've got two big centre backs, and I think sometimes, you know yourself, Steve, sometimes you put a more of a target player up front, there's more long balls going to him. I think his link play has still got to get better because of the amount of games he's missed. I don't think he's up to that level yet. Sometimes he'll take it in and sometimes it'll bounce off him. But I think Martin, quite rightly so, maybe thought Fernandes and that were going to dominate that. And Celtic don't play that way predominantly anyway. Yeah. But I think then if the ball's going into him, you've got to have runners. And the one thing I would say that Celtic are short off in the middle of the park, apart from Negrin really, Callum's not going to run. And you had Oxlade-Chamberlain in there, so they're no guys that's going to run by it.
And they're not.
You know?
But Gary would play Oxlade-Chamberlain. Peter, what do you think the team will be that Martin O'Neill will pick for tomorrow night?
What do I think? Yeah. I think just with the way the game's coming thick and fast, I think he'll go Haroha at right back, Murray, Scales, Sarachi instead of Kieran. And that's not down to Kieran's performances, it's just it keeps coming off.
Yeah. So he played 69, 70 minutes,
and
right?
You see that. And I just think it's always a worry that. And I think Sarachi's never let us down as well. I would keep Hatate in, because if you've got him in that little bit of form, I would keep him in, even though it's one game, because then the responsibility says
he's a human being. He must be. Who wouldn't love the adulation that he got from the Celtic fans at the end, and the way the manager's speaking about him?
He'll work hard and run. Yeah, you know, talent will come along with him. As long as you work hard and run, but his body language doesn't allow you that at times. I would definitely have Negrin in the team.
Yes.
Because I just think, I look at Celtic, I look through the team, who's going to score goals. And by the way, Martin O'Neill never get the credit for it, because even when he was taking Negrin off late in the game, I wouldn't have done that, because I'm thinking, where are we going to score from? Right. But the man he replaced him with, James Forrest, was excellent,
supplied
positive,
the ball for
put the ball in for the obviously the penalty kick, so he deserves great credit for that. But that's the position of the pitch that I'm a bit concerned is, does James just become a good substitute? Yang's not really done that much wrong, but the one you feel for, because if Negrin plays in that area, Luke McCown's got to go wide, and that's not his position. I know he's played there, but I think Luke is a goal-scoring threat, but I like wingers to go and take them on. I would go with believe it or not, I would start with James Forrest.
Right. Actually, Charlie Mulgrew, who played alongside him at Celtic, said last night, I'd put Jamesy in from the start tomorrow night. Stephen, have you got a view on it? You've played against all of them.
Look, I think obviously the thing is trying to get the system that works the best for the group. The players all have natural ability. They have. They're at Celtic for a reason, but it's just trying to get the system that works. What will be intriguing will be what Aberdeen do as well, because if you look at the table, it's going to be really fortunate if they were to nick into the top six. I'd
29 points,
borderline impossible. And they've got a big game at the weekend, so is there going to be a few players rested?
Of course, defending the cup,
which is obviously I would 100% be trying to prioritise the cup if I think I'm safe. But equally, they'd lose a couple more games or dragged right back into it if Kilmarnock pick up. So it's it'll be interesting. But I think with the game being at the weekend again against Rangers, I don't think Celtic can afford, with the league being the priority obviously, is to rest anyone. So it'll be who they see is good enough to beat Aberdeen on the night.
And Peter, the rest of your team?
Well, as I said, Paul, I would go up front. I've got, as I say, McGregor, Hatate, Negrin just advanced probably, or him and Hatate just advanced, and Callum sitting himself really, like a 4-1-4-1 I would play, because I'd let Callum be that deeper one and let Hatate have that freedom to get closer and Negrin to get that closer, and that's why I would play James, because then they could balance with the defensive side, with Callum would be in that position, so James could be more direct and further up the pitch, Taneke on the left hand side, and I would go with Big Tamas up front.
You go up front. Let's hear the injury update again, just to check. Martin O'Neill.
No, we've got a couple of niggles, but we'll see how they are by the end of the afternoon. We'll travel up today to the game, and Casper's still not feeling great, so I'll leave him to recover properly.
Not giving too much away. What about the squad after the exertions and the result at the weekend? Because Rangers fans felt like a defeat. Celtic fans, not quite a victory, but it was certainly a huge turnaround in the second half.
Well, the players had a day off yesterday, and so I think they were in need of some recuperation anyway. So this will be a tough match for us. They're very pleased, as we all are, with the fight back. We did brilliantly in the second half. As I said, not too many teams come from a 2-0 deficit at Ibrox to get something out of the game, which we did.
Gary, can your team do it for... Well, it's the result that counts, but it's been a long time since they've played 90 minutes where it has been the Celtic that you've seen for so long.
Yeah, I think when you look at, obviously, I'm looking at the run-in, obviously Aberdeen away is going to be massive. I think, as I say, it's one of the games I would take a 1-0 down the road, but we've got to start looking at the goal difference now. We've got to start looking at closing that goal difference. So potentially if we get an early goal tomorrow, then we've got to start looking at pressing higher up the park and not sitting off as much as we have been doing and trying to protect leads. We've got to go for the kill, and that's where obviously the mix of Schwanchara and Adamu can obviously come into their own. Obviously Oxlade-Chamberlain got hooked at half time, but when you look at the first half at Ibrox and Sunday, the midfield were non-existent. They were just, as I say, they were just hoofing the ball up to nobody, and that's why Adamu got hooked as well, because there was just nothing about that team. So I'm hoping that obviously the team that played in the second half will be largely the team that will play at Pittodrie tomorrow. But there's some banana skins in. I'm looking at the running for everybody, and there's probably some banana skins that you don't think would be. But obviously that kind of 5th of April weekend, there's going to be some fantastic fixtures in there, and well capable of all Celtic Rangers Hearts dropping points, to be fair.
Peter?
No, I think that's fair when you look at it. And you look at the fixtures Celtic have had, I think they've just come out of 5 games near enough away in the bounce there.
Yeah.
Now they're going into a period
That's
here
right,
again.
tomorrow night.
But then you get it again, they've still got 4 to go.
Yeah. Motherwell at home. So
and Motherwell's only
Stephen
one at
will be
home.
there.
You know, so
You got your tickets.
it's massive.
Dundee
you know?
United away is for Celtic.
Yeah.
Dundee away, and then St Mirren at home.
Dundee were excellent up at Dens against Celtic.
Yeah.
And beat them comfortably.
right.
I think it was Brendan's last game,
It
if I'm
was.
right.
I think you're right.
So
yeah.
they were excellent. They were excellent at Celtic Park as well.
That was a Pinto game, was it? Was it the Fiat Pinto?
Yeah, and they were that's exactly the Celtic at Celtic Park. They were excellent as well.
Dundee are better now than they were as well at the start of the season.
Absolutely. It's no easy games, and everybody's going for something. And listen, it's still the same that Celtic and Rangers turn up.
Yeah.
To other teams find air for somewhere. You know, they just find something. This is Celtic and Rangers. Let's go and try and beat them. Because there's a bigger crowd there, there's a bigger atmosphere, and it just lifts you. Maybe Stephen will tell you different because he plays against it, but I just think that's what brings for your own supporters as well. So the Aberdeen fans will be desperate to beat Celtic and Rangers and everybody else that goes along with it, and that happens. You have to handle that. The pressure's on Celtic, and Celtic have to win.
Where'd you get the Fiat Punto? Was it the Honda?
Was it the
Civic?
Honda? Was it the Honda Civic?
I'm sitting,
Oh, he's obviously sponsored with somebody, Paul.
I'm sitting nodding. I'm thinking, Fiat Punto. There's another one that I missed, James. Sorry. It's the Civic. No, it's fine. He's so used to the Ferraris. Rangers running, St Mirren away, Aberdeen at home, Dundee United at home, and Falkirk away. Motherwell running for you up until the split. Dundee away, as we know, at the weekend. Celtic away. Hibs at home. Falkirk at home. Hearts away. Oh, that's going to be some game, isn't it? I'll give you the Hearts. They've got Kilmarnock away, Dundee at home, Livy away, and Motherwell at home. It's just that. I mean, every one of them. No, there's no game for anybody. It's a gimme, is there?
No, look, I certainly think the Hearts and Celtic could certainly go a long way to kind of closing down any optimism for the Motherwell supporters if they were to get 2 good results against us. But I think, as I said, our targets remain firmly in trying to secure a European space. But how exciting is it? There's so many stories. Hibs will be even going, well, we can string a couple of wins, catch Motherwell, and then if one of the other 2-3 teams drop off, can we catch them? There's lots of plots, lots of teams paying a lot more money than Motherwell, and with a lot
don't start using that. Don't start using that.
And a lot more pressure. So we'll keep working away and doing our best.
Gary, what's your scoreline tomorrow night? What do you feel?
I'm going to be optimistic for a change. So I'll go 3-1 Celtic. To be fair, but just to ask Stephen, obviously you've got Dundee away. I think is that a 3:00 kickoff?
Yeah, I think so.
That?
Yep.
Yeah. Does that make a difference to the players? Because this is a real gripe of mine that obviously when you look at the kick-off times, it's all to do with TV rights and all the rest of it. Now, does it really bother players if you're playing at 12:30 on a Sunday rather than at 3 o'clock on a Saturday?
It doesn't bother me to the point of being a massive issue. What I will say, and I'm sure I seen somebody, I think it was Wayne Rooney, was moaning about eating pasta at 9 o'clock, and then somebody wrote, "Oh, for 300,000 I'd eat pasta every minute of the day." That it's not ideal waking up and going straight for pre-match and you're getting chicken and pasta or whatever it is your routine would be. But it's any time after, like 1:30, I probably am a massive fan of. But yeah, 12 o'clock I wouldn't love, but I don't have you just kind of get used to it. I had it quite a lot at Kilmarnock. Quite a lot of the games up there were on television when when Steve Clark was a manager, and you kind of just get used to it. Driving along the motorway at that time isn't ideal, but again, I'm up at that time.
Gary,
anyway.
do you think that'll have an effect? I was talking about Paul and Stephen earlier about the kick-off times. Hearts playing on a Saturday, and Celtic or Rangers playing on a Sunday or later than Hearts. I think it definitely gives them an advantage when you've already got the points in the bag or whatever. And you're playing second or third. So as a supporter, do you feel that little bit more tension in the stadium?
Yeah, I think definitely when you look at as you say, the early games, I think when you look at a couple of weeks ago there, Rugby Park, we played at Rugby Park early doors before Rangers and Hearts played. We could obviously relax after the game because we went and won the game. So it's kind of vice versa. I'm sure the Rangers and Hearts fans would have been watching kind of nervously and anxiously, waiting on their game kicking off, kind of thing. It's just, as I say, it's all about drama and tension, and I get it. It's a massive pull of the TV rights, and that's where the money comes from. But I just miss a Saturday 3 o'clock kickoff. I just think there's nothing better.
Can I get
a Saturday 3 o'clock?
Can I get your thoughts on? Probably, if you asked me what I would pick for a game, would be, I really enjoyed it. I've done it a few times, a Friday night game. And I enjoyed it for one, there was always the possibility of getting the weekend off, depending if the manager was. That's never going to be a negative. I always found that there tended to be quite a good atmosphere around it, as if everybody was maybe being in the pub, they've finished work, they're kind of letting their hair down.
Sizzle.
Yeah. So for me, I would have enjoyed more Friday nights. Would that be something you would be? Would you be a fan of that, do you think, or would you rather stick to traditional Saturday 3 o'clock?
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I'm a massive fan of Saturday 3 o'clock, but the only two other times I would probably prefer is I wouldn't mind a Friday night because, as I say, it starts off your weekend. If you're going to the game, if you're going out after the game, it's brilliant. But for me, the other good kick-off time, and we've seen a few this season with the games on Premier Sports, is the 5:45 games. And I think if you're at home, in a 5:45, I think that could be a good start to your weekend. But obviously, I'm no running the bit for 90 minutes in the park, so probably just as well, to be fair.
And Gary, are you going on Sunday?
No. I've not got a ticket, so I'll just be watching it. Watching it in a house kind of thing. But it's so funny because I think I was talking to one of my mates who's a Rangers fan and working. We were both saying we both take a hit in the cup to get the 3 points on Sunday there in the league, and now we're both looking at each other on Monday, got that almost like bring it on, like let's try and knock each other out the cup kind of thing. So it's funny how you can think one thing, and then as soon as the game's done, you're right back into it.
Here's a question before you go, and for all three of you. John's been on. Evening, guys, enjoying the show. No, I made that bit up. He said, did you say you were out with Wayne Rooney the other night? Or did you miss that bit there when you mentioned Wayne Rooney?
I'd read Wayne Rooney had been
joking. Sorry. He didn't. I see Rooney's in the headlines again. Right, Ian Atcho, what's happened to him? He believes he's the best forward Celtic have. He's puzzled as why he's not playing. So we don't know the answer, but look, we know the guy's got class. Maybe this is the problem, though.
Every time I've seen him come on, even in recent weeks, he gives you that little bit of class. He can join. I think he could play with another striker. And there's not many of them I could say that, because some of them like to play on their last nine. And I just think anybody who looks at a number 9 now who could score goals but drop in and be a 10, where predominantly you're playing a midfielder in there. And to be fair to Negrin, he's done it fantastically well. But he starts in midfield and ends up in that sort of space. Whereas I would like to see a number 9, talking about a Wayne Rooney, a similar type. He's a number 9, loves to score goals but drops in if it needs to be to help out or to receive possession. I think the only one that can do that from off the front line is Iniacho. So it's interesting he's come on in certain games and then he's not even been in the squad the next game.
Right. Stevie, have you played against them?
I've not played against them, but I remember watching the St Mirren game and thinking the cup final.
That's right.
And when he came off, I think they were getting beat. St Mirren scored early doors, if I can get it right. But I thought Celtic are going to score here. He was holding things up, started to link the play, some link up with Maeda as well. And then when they went off, it kind of took another maybe 45 minutes to get back up to having some kind of good chances in their half. So he looked a very good player. Obviously got a big pedigree, but was it his hamstring? I think maybe a wee bit of bother. Are they maybe just managing him? Because is it more important to have him as an option for the running? I would say maybe a bit of both.
As I say, I'm at that stage now that Celtic and Rangers and Motherwell, to an extent, because Hearts are in the position they're in, they keep winning. Every game's massive. Every game is massive. So you've got to put your best team, if it's possible, get them out there. You know, that's for me, and that's why it's a big choice. Me saying about Kieran Tierney not playing at left back. I think him and Sarachi are excellent. I think the two of them done very well. But I just think Kieran maybe coming off after 60 minutes, maybe the one that can't maybe recover as quick.
And Gary, before you go, on Thursday night we revealed Lord Willie Hockey was here, and he told us about the alliance that he's setting up. He's going to fund it. He doesn't want anything from it, but to try and get peace at Celtic and to get ultimately a say for the fans. So you're a season ticket holder, Gary? Yeah.
No, I'm actually not.
Oh, right.
I just try and get to. I try and get to as many games as possible, just through work. Obviously, just sometimes it's not possible, kind of thing.
But you'd love to see a bit of unity at your club.
Yeah, I think, as I say, we spoke recently about it, and you know, forget about the talks and getting the Green Brigade and the boys Celtic round the table. Just get them back in the stadium now and put this on the back burner, because now we've got 9 games, or 10 games rather. If we win tomorrow and cut the gap to 5 points, we're right back in it. So you know, you need everybody pulling in the same way. You need everybody making that stadium as loud as possible and intimidating as possible, try to get it back to becoming a fortress in the future. So yeah, as I say, put the talks to a back burner for now and get the fans back in.
Gary, thanks so much for your call.
Cheers,
We're
Gary.
back after
Cheers,
this.
guys.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
This time tomorrow night, Rob McLean will be here along with Mark Guidi and Andy Walker. So top 3 tomorrow night. I'll be off in kilt walk business for a couple of days, which happens to be in the northeast in the Aberdeen area. So yeah,
you get to go to the game. You managed to get to the game.
Quite
If you finish
quite
it
a
in
few
time.
things on. So, but we'll see. That's the big game tomorrow night, isn't it? Aberdeen
Absolutely.
against Celtic. And Peter, for those that missed it in the first hour, you reckon if Celtic don't win tomorrow night?
Yeah, I think it'll be really, really tough, Paul, because I always think the catch-up game, once it's out the road, then you're on even keel and you're saying, well, is Hearts going to lose that amount of points and Celtic continually win? It's getting to that stage now, Paul. It's going to be very difficult when you lose games, and I don't see any of them going all the way through without dropping points. I think it's really difficult to do that, and I'm talking about the top 4 in that, whether it's draws or whatever.
So if Celtic lose tomorrow night,
I think
they're not going to win it.
I don't think they'll win it, no.
Okay.
Because I think there becomes a momentum shift. I think there definitely does in that respect, because if you look at Hearts' fixtures, and I'm not being disrespectful to the other ones, they're very favourable. If you look at the fixtures that's coming up, and then if they get into the top, I think if they get into the last period, the split, with that amount of points, it becomes very, very difficult.
Yeah, but they're still playing the best teams in the country. You'll be playing,
I think
Celtic, Rangers, Motherwell.
Honestly, unless it's like 9, maybe 10 points ahead come the split.
Yep.
I think it will all be to play for, because I think the 5 teams that are probably going to be in the split, I know Falkirk is not maybe mathematical, but looks likely. They're all going to be hard tasks. If it's Falkirk away, it's on the Astro against a good side. Ourselves have been really good at home, obviously, this season. I think there's no way this is done until maybe the third game to the end of the season.
I just think we've been looking at it, Paul, and saying put the game on Sunday, you get the draw from it after where you were, and all of a sudden you can go in front of Rangers. All of a sudden you're thinking, there's a wee bit of momentum swing. We've got into second place again. There's an improvement, and I'm looking at it. You look at the games in the Forum and whatever. Motherwell's the best, and Celtic are second, and Forum. If you're talking about draws and wins and whatever,
because Hearts have done so well to bounce back after the Rangers result.
Absolutely, massively, and they got results where I felt there'd be a lot of pressure on them. Aberdeen and Falkirk, they were massive pressure on them. You could sense it. But they won both, and that's the point I'm making. They're winning games that there's a little bit more pressure on them.
Stephen, you reckon everyone is in it? And we're going to find out. Let's go on the lines. A lot of calls coming in. 08, 08, 17, 17, 700. Dean's on the line, a Rangers fan. Hi, Dean. Good evening.
Hi, Paul. Great show, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much, Dean. Good to hear you.
Evening, Pierre. Evening, Stephen.
Evening, pal.
Even though I'm a Rangers fan, Paul, I just think the Celtic guys are brilliant on the analysis. Is absolutely great. Peter, I think you just talk. The football you talk about is absolutely brilliant. It's good to hear. And then Darren, he does well as well. So just
Thanks for that.
Darren, yeah. Barry will be with us later in the week. It's he had to go for
Barry's
something else yesterday.
Yeah, Mark
exactly.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
brilliant. It's great listening, guys. So keep up the good work.
Thank you. Craig Moore should be back soon. He's been posted missing. Jamie Murphy, of course, ex-Rangers, but he's playing at Arbroath tonight. So he needs to decide what's he doing.
Absolutely.
You know, is he a
Go
coach
radio
there?
or playing against
So, Dean,
Arbroath.
what do you think about it then? What's your feeling?
I just thought. I mean, I know Danny's a young manager and he's going to make sort of mistakes here and there, but I just thought the press, the first half on Sunday was brilliant. It's probably the best I've seen Rangers play in years, let alone just under Danny's tenure. And I just thought it's hard to keep that press going the whole 90 minutes. But I thought when he took off Nadiri and putting the Diomande on, that just invited pressure on the Rangers. I think the best sort of form of defence is having the two strikers on. The way they played against Hearts, they had the two strikers on, and the Rangers press was brilliant. And in the first half against Celtic as well was absolutely brilliant. But once they took Nadiri off, I would have put Miavoski on, or maybe Bajrami. And I remember Peter saying, was it a while back, that he likes Bajrami because he gets in the defenders' faces and it doesn't give him a moment's peace.
Yep. I did, Dean, because if you remember was it the semi-final, the 3-3 game, I think, Bajrami played, and I thought he was the best that I'd seen playing against Callum McGregor at it. Because sometimes you play with two strikers, one of the strikers jumps too quickly. And up into Nadiri and Chermiti at the weekend, I thought they two were excellent in the first half. I agree. Everything you've said so far, I agree 100% with. And that's why I'd have put, if he was going to take the striker off, and I know sometimes people say he's got a bit of a problem with his knee or whatever, but I think in that particular game, that's who I'd have put in Bajrami, because they kept that press for Rangers. And I think, I agree, when Rangers stopped the press, because the point I'm trying to make is, where is Sinisalo going to go? He's not going to kick it long. They've not got a target player on the pitch. It's Maeda. I mean, I'm better than Maeda, you know, as in attacking the ball like that off two centre-backs. And that was the point I was making. It takes a big part of Celtic's game away, but if you give Celtic time and let them allow to get that first pass in, then you could be chasing. It's a bit like Motherwell. You give Motherwell the first pass, all of a sudden they're going to make you chase. And I think, I agree with you 100%. I thought that's what happened at the weekend.
Yeah, that's what I thought against Motherwell as well. I think we went to a back three after they went to 10 men or so. And I just felt it invited pressure onto us. And Charlie Mulgrew put it brilliantly last night when he says the best form of defence is having the two strikers on and pressing the defenders, the Celtic defenders, like they done in the first half. And Celtic didn't get much joy in that first half. But they took off Nadiri, Onkon, Diomande, who I like. But I just thought Diomande's not going to press like what Miavoski would press or Bajrami will press. You know, even if they took off Nadiri, put on Miavoski and took off Olsen and put on Bajrami, then it's making the Celtic. Well, Celtic are not going to have that time to pick balls out and all that and play for the back. I just thought hopefully Danny learns from that.
Listen, I think he's your best choice as manager.
It's effective having two strikers on the field.
Yeah.
I think the two wingers and a striker sometimes, because I thought Chermiti was isolated after Nadiri went off.
Yeah, you could see his body language, couldn't you? Yeah.
Yeah, you see the two wingers sometimes just doesn't work and all that stuff. So I think the best sort of attacking formation Rangers should go with is two strikers and a winger, and maybe Mikey Moore in number 10 position. I think that's going to be the most effective way going forward, because I've seen it against Hearts and I've seen it in the first half against Celtic, and I thought, yep, I like that. And but once they took Nadiri off and put the defenders, it's inviting. I think it's inviting pressure on it, and we've seen it do it all the time. You know, and it was pretty frustrating. It did, and it felt like a defeat when was it Sunday there.
Yeah, Gary, the Celtic fan, was saying, see the cup game, right? It will take care of itself. But you know, you really wanted to win at the weekend at home. Celtic fans want to win, but you were at home. What do you feel about Rangers? Do you think you'll still win the title? Because a lot of people now are thinking, well, Hearts are the favourites, and of course they are. But I heard Stephen 5-10 minutes ago, Stephen O'Donnell saying, do you know what? I think after the split, there's going to be quite a few twists and turns yet. So my question is, as a Rangers fan, will you still do it? Will you still win it?
Given on past seasons, I mean, Sunday there felt like 2 years ago when the old moral victory thing, was it Rangers had Celtic, Celtic really, they were actually 2-0 in that game if I remember correctly, and came into it. But that was the game Rangers should have won it, and we didn't win it. But I've always tended to take it game by game. I mean, I don't even know who Rangers' next league game is. I just know
St
Celtic
Mirren
on Sunday.
You're away. Yeah, you're at Paisley.
Yeah, right.
Sure.
I mean, that's just news to me because I don't look that far ahead. I just look at one game, the next game, and it's just the way I look at it, because when you try to map everything out, how this game will go, that will go. It's I said was it at the start of the year, when the turn of the year after Rangers beat Celtic at Parkhead, I says Rangers, Celtic, and Hearts will drop points when they least expect it, and I still believe that will happen. But
look at the livery result.
But going back to Sunday, even on go back on Sunday there. At the first half, I'm looking at this. I'm looking online and all that. Everyone's getting excited. I wasn't getting excited. I was really delighted with the performance, but I was thinking of 2 weeks ago back at Kilmarnock when Celtic were really great in the first half. They were 2-0 down, and then Celtic were a totally different animal in the second half, and that's what I was expecting for Celtic in the second half, and that's exactly what happened, because they're no champion. I mean, that's why they're champions, and they've got all that success. They do not give up. And that's what I thought. Martin O'Neill will get them in at half time, we'll get them a bollocking, whatever they do, and Celtic will come out a different animal, and that's what happened.
It's funny you mentioned the moral victory. You obviously, you know your stuff. So Danny Rule didn't put a foot wrong, I don't think, in his time since October. It's amazing. But stay humble. I don't know why he took on Martin O'Neill about the Sinisalo thing and why he didn't go for Stook, why he didn't go for Moore. Now, maybe it was under questioning, but do you know what I mean? He should just concentrate on his own team. And
You're absolutely right, Paul.
It didn't help Rangers.
I hate that. I hate that. Clement got involved in that, and Michael Beale, I thought he was very disrespectful to Celtic as well. I hate when that happens. Don't get involved in it. Just keep your sort of counsel, so to speak. And Danny Rowe's been brilliant. He's not put a foot wrong, apart from Friday. Like I say, I'm like, why is he getting involved in that? I mean, but again, I don't know if it's the pressure. He's a young manager. He'll make mistakes and all that stuff.
Yeah. He's 36 years old.
Like I say I say that to fellow Rangers fans. Says, remember where we were before he came in? We were 10th or so. Was it when Russell was in charge there? So we've got to look at the bigger picture here. Was it? You can't change it overnight. Yeah. We can't win every game. And I mean, some people sort of pin the blame being Danny Rowe being cautious and all that stuff, but it's.
There's a good piece in the Herald this morning. Matthew Lindsay just saying about, they know about the discontent. Everyone does at Celtic. And he said, but actually Rangers and the fans kind of some of them went against the team and the manager. Some of them are calling. I mean, social media, we know people are quick to say get rid of managers and all the rest of it. But it just needs a bit of calm, needs a bit of experience. Stay humble and then wait to see what happens. Because Rangers in that first half, Rangers were absolutely brilliant.
Danny Rowe is the best thing that's happened to Rangers. Yeah. I think he's never
absolutely spot on, Peter.
I think he's never put a foot wrong. Honestly, I thought last week. Listen, we were always told when the Celtic Rangers match was coming up, we weren't allowed to talk to the press as and such.
That was ridiculous.
We'd be actually telling how good Rangers were. That if you were saying anything, just talk about their players, how good they are.
You say what you said off air beforehand, because you mentioned Walter, for example, Walter Smith.
Never in a billion years they would discredit Celtic or anything, because they know our manager doesn't need to say nothing. Because the first thing they pin it up. The usual one, that genuinely did happen. I get pinned up. Well, that's what they think this is what they're going to do. It is all these sort of things. And maybe it was his first step out of line in the respect of that. But he's done a terrific job. And I said it many months ago, Paul, I thought he'd be the perfect choice for him. I was delighted when he pulled out the race. I said that at the time because I thought he was much better than the likes of Steve and Gerrard and that. Sure. It was all getting mentioned. I can understand why Rangers fans want it, but I thought Rowe would be better. I think he's proven that. Saturday, I thought he made the wrong choice. That's my opinion, because of what Celtic had, because I knew Celtic wouldn't kick it long. If you're playing maybe against a Hearts, that's completely different. I would have made that substitution against a Hearts, not against a Celtic. So things like that. And the Glasgow thing is completely different. because everything you say about the opposition, we're waiting on you. You know, you're hoping they slip up and say something.
Stephen, you know the West of Scotland as well as anyone.
Yeah, that's always going to be the biggest thing for anyone taking a Rangers or Celtic job, and in the players, you can't get away from it, and you will learn. I'm sure he will learn maybe to be a bit quieter, but equally maybe he likes to try and involve himself in that. Maybe he's thinking, I can add another string to my bow, and but yeah, I think certainly, as you said, the first half was very good, but second half, whether it was through changes or momentum, as he spoke about, it just it wasn't quite what the Rangers fans were expecting, and it's just frustrating when you see they have been on a really good trajectory since he came in, and even I was here at the end of the window, and I thought the recruitment was very good. I thought it looked like it had a real balance between youth with some experience that you could go and sell, plus a couple of kind of more assured heads. But yeah, no, I think it's we'll see how the season pans out.
Dean, 100 days.
The game reminded me of the game at New Year there. Celtic blew Rangers away in the first half. They went in on the lead, deserved so, and then they never turned up for the second half, and that was like Rangers on Sunday there. Yeah. The only difference is it ended in a draw as opposed to...
But see, on that one, Dean, the manager made the right substitution for that particular match. He put Diamandi on. It was the same substitution, but it was the right substitution in that match, because Big Fernandez was getting terrorised and he kept coming into midfield to pick up, and all of a sudden he put Diamandi in and they get a grip of the game. So it was the right substitution in that particular match, not on Sunday, in my eyes.
Dean, before you go, any thoughts on Scotland? Is that 100 days to go to the World Cup? Or was that yesterday? 99 or 100 days? That's what we'll be talking about soon. You looking forward to it?
Not the starting times. I mean, it's great starting times for the players because they're not playing in that seething heat.
That's right.
Because Haiti, Morocco and Brazil, the temperatures they're used to, it would suit them, but not Scotland. Yeah. So I'm glad that they're playing it in the evening. I just hope we've learned from the Euros, because that was so disappointing. Both Euros were just so similar to each other. Was it not the best first game? Second game we played our best, and then the third game was just a complete collapse. So I just really hope we've, the first game's Haiti and then it's Morocco.
That's right. Stephen, we've got to go for it in the first one. Haiti, for sure.
We've got to, but because Morocco, are absolutely flying.
I know.
Did they not just win? Did they win the Cup of Nations? Or was that Egypt?
I think they could not get beaten that penalty kick situation. There was a penalty kick situation.
Only just, Anyway, Stephen, final word on this from you?
I think it's Haiti certainly is a game you need to try and get the win and hopefully get something from the other two. They're two very good sides. And but again, I think the positive is the fans know that, and there's no last time when I was at the Euros, it was very much the other two teams are rubbish, Croatia and Czech Republic. Just wasn't the case. So the fact that we are more realistic is positive, but it's going to be tough. The World Cup.
Senegal beat them, of course. Dean, thanks for the call. Please call again. Thank you.
Great show, guys. Cheers, Dean. Keep it up and all that. And long time listener, first time caller, but
brilliant.
Keep it up.
Cheers, Dean.
Thanks, Dean.
Thank you.
We're back.
Thanks again. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
We're talking Rangers, talking Celtic, Motherwell and Hearts there just before the break. Looking forward to the run in. Peter, there just hasn't been a finish like this. A four-way race. Can that? I don't think so.
Was it? Even in my time, Paul, that wasn't the case. It was always one or the other. Aberdeen for a big period, obviously. Dundee United the early 80s with Aberdeen. And then it became Celtic and Rangers domination. I think you can see that with all the titles, where all the titles have went. Hearts were probably the one that was closest. The last time was that 40 years ago.
It was indeed,
So that was probably the nearest one outside Celtic or Rangers that was having a chance of winning it.
What about Dundee United against St Mirren tonight? Saints have been top six for 3 seasons. It's not going to happen this season, of course, but they're the only team with a trophy because of the League Cup win. Seems a long time ago, doesn't it, Stephen?
Yeah, no, it does seem a while ago, but we, especially when they beat us in the semi-final, was a hard one to take. But St Mirren are a well-organised side. I know we got a very good result against them a couple of weeks ago, but it'll be an interesting game because if they win that, you're just looking at the league. If they win that, Kilmarnock had started to pick up a wee bit, and then obviously the Jordan Jules get injured, and it's like they can start to get dragged in. So it's really important. It's tight at the bottom as well. If you maybe Livingston really need to start picking up some wins, but above that, it's not 9 points between the bottom 5 or the bottom 11 to 7. So even the bottom's interesting.
Got the teams here. So here's St Mirren. George, of course, in goals. Fraser, Gogic, Freckleton, Richardson, Phillips, Bacchus, Ahara, the captain, Tanzer, Idowu, and Lundaloo, who, of course, scored at the weekend. And Dundee United team has just dropped as well. Maynard Brewer, Iovu, Savelge, Graham, Kamara, Egye, Amarfata, Farrugia, Stevenson, Carestes and Waters. So you've come up against both of them. So
yeah, look, it'll be a hard game. It'll be a physical game, but I'm going to go right in the fence. I think it'll be a draw.
Do you?
I think I
Tell me
don't know
about
for
some
definite,
goals.
but I think
Yeah.
Jim Goodwin might have rested a couple for the other night. I think Graham didn't play against us on Saturday, and neither did Fata. And Fata just came off the back of that unbelievable goal against Kilmarnock, and I was delighted to see that he wasn't playing. But I was wondering, and you'll never know, did they have an eye on the tonight as being maybe more important? I don't know.
Of course. Who do you fancy then? Did you say a draw? Go for the draw. Sorry, a score draw.
A score draw.
Because I mean, it was the draw with Aberdeen last week, midweek, and it was apparently a poor game. Peter, what do you think?
I think, Paul, you're saying they're a poor game, but I think the pitch is making that.
Sure.
The pitch is the worst pitch I've seen for a long time, in the Premier League. And Tannadice used to be brilliant right throughout the season. So I think that's an equaliser for anyone. But I think it maybe suits St Mirren because they don't mess about. They'll ask questions of you. And in the nicest possible way, I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. That's the way they play. They ask questions. They get the ball in no opposition's half. And I think in these circumstances, I think St Mirren are maybe better set up than Dundee United are. Because they're used to it, playing with two front men and running you and getting balls in the box. Dundee United, I don't think have got that power that St Mirren have in the front line. So I fancy St Mirren to sneak it 2-1.
2-1 game tonight. Is it on the telly? I don't think it is.
I don't think it is. No.
Indeed. And you wouldn't have any dodgy sticks.
No,
of course not. Not at all.
I'll tell you, it's
I'll give you
about
that.
11
Not
tonight.
at all. No. We certainly wouldn't. Billy's on, a Rangers fan, saying, I'm just not sure about Skov Olsen. He did well in the first half. What do you think? Well, what did the manager think? He was asked about him after the game.
Yeah, he's on the way to be better and better. I think he has now some good assists. I think that comes better and better. It's all about us that we have to improve. I think there's no player to be in the comfort zone. I think we want to increase. We have to increase. I said this many times. We have to be better and better and better in every game. I see a direction, but today, of course, we couldn't keep the great performance from the first 45 minutes, and it's the reason why we are disappointed. We have to be disappointed about us, and then we move forward.
Stephen, you'll be up against him in a few weeks' time. Skov Olsen.
Yeah, look, I've not seen too much of him, but when he came in, the pedigree he had when I was speaking about, he was a good age, kind of you're thinking ready, primed and ready to go and perform. And yeah, again, part of that first half performance where everyone was playing well, but look, he's still probably adapting, coming in January. It's never easy to come to another country and kick on, I'm sure. So hopefully if he does need to improve, hopefully he doesn't improve over the next couple of weeks.
I'll tell you who has improved, Mikey Moore.
Yeah, no, we played against him. He's sharp, got some nice touches, and again, it was excellent in the first half against Celtic. Thought caused some real problems, and Arojo, who I've seen in a few games, has looked very comfortable, and I thought he gave him a real tough test, and at times probably got the better of him, certainly in that first half.
Peter, Skov Olsen first.
I like Skov Olsen.
Yep. What do you like about him?
Because I like to see wingers going on the outside, Paul. And the last couple of games I've seen him, he's created chances. He's created a goal again at the weekend. And as a winger, that's your job, to put the ball in the box. Like James Forrest come on, went on the outside, dunks the ball in the box, and Celtic get a penalty kick. I think there's a massive part for that. The amount of games I watched on Saturday, the amount of crosses that teams score from, and see if you've got a player like that in your team that can deliver. And then you've got the opposite side. You're talking about Mikey Moore as well. Mikey Moore, all of a sudden, I said many, when he came up, I've said it many times, I was so surprised that Russell played him on the right-hand side. He was always a left-sider or a number 10 when I seen him as a kid at Tottenham. So I was so surprised when he played there. But I think Skov Olsen will be a big player for Rangers in this run-in. I think Mikey Moore will, because they're playing in the right positions. And that's what you've got to give Danny Rowe credit for. He's getting players to play in their proper positions, and it's up for them, as it is with footballers. It's up for them to grab it. The Gassamas and all that, they can moan all they want, but if they're not playing, it's down to your performance sometimes, if you're creating chances. And Skov Olsen in every game, even though he's not up to speed, has managed to do that.
Billy, that's our thoughts, the guys' thoughts on those players. Right, ahead of the Celtic game tomorrow night, Martin Neal was asked about that slow start on Sunday against Rangers.
Trip to Ibrox is going to be difficult in itself. But we certainly can't spend 45 minutes on the back foot. and not really competing properly, and that's against any side. Never mind Rangers. So from our viewpoint, yeah, I think that we've got to try and get a grip of the game earlier than we're doing.
And tomorrow night, Sinisalo will be in because Schmeichel, apart from anything else, is still not feeling well at all. And he was asked today about Sinisalo's aim to be the number one.
It isn't, yeah, absolutely. It is an opportunity. I'm not saying he sees himself as that. That's what he wants to be. Then you have to do that. And he is, he's come in, and I think he's done very, very well in the games. I know he's. And he's at this minute he's taking over from a goalkeeper who's been a really, really terrific goalkeeper throughout his career, and one who also still wants to do very, very well, not only for the club but for himself. And I would have assumed at national level, because Denmark still have a chance of qualifying for the World Cup.
Yeah, they have indeed, and he would love to be back in there. Stephen, tomorrow night, what do you think is going to happen?
Look, I think it'll be a tough game. I think Celtic will win it. I do see Aberdeen resting a couple for the game at the weekend, and that could maybe just give an extra wee impetus to Celtic. And with obviously off the back of a very good 45 minutes, there'll be that good feeling about the club. So I think they things can help. With regards to Schmeichel and Sinisalo, I think every player has got in a team through an opportunity. Could be in a lot of the time it is an injury, a sickness. Obviously timing, not playing against Stuttgart, done decent. I think by all accounts maybe Schmeichel was starting then sick, and he's done well, a good performance. So I think if he has a good one tomorrow night, it really makes a tricky situation for who's going to be the number one for probably the tail end of the season, because Schmeichel will have eyes on hoping to go to another World Cup. He'll definitely go, sure. Just whether or not he's the number one. Yeah, and I imagine he would want to be. So it'll be an interesting one to see how that plays out.
Peter, tomorrow night, what's going to happen?
I'm going to say Celtic will win 2-1, Paul. It'll be a very difficult game, but I think Celtic will edge it. I'm always concerned with Celtic defensively at set plays. They give too many silly free kicks away, and corners, I think, always causes a problem. Aberdeen have got a little bit of height, so I think they will maybe notch a goal, but I'm hoping Celtic going the other way. I've got the quality and the players that can get that victory, but it'll be a very tight game, but I'm going to go for Celtic to steal it 2-1.
Peter, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
Stephen, great to have you in as well, and good luck at the weekend. You've got Dundee. Looking forward to that game.
Yeah, no, thanks very much. It'll be a tough game. Dundee have got some really good players, have been playing some good stuff, and it'll be a hard game. We've struggled against them the two times we've played this season, so hopefully it can be a really positive result, and one that kind of take advantage of that kind of game in hand.
Yeah, play for the full 7 minutes as they did at the weekend.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Right at the end.
And lovely take one of those chances they had. What a finish that was.
Loads of Motherwell fans on tonight sending comments, and good luck to you, Stephen, and the team. Thank you, Peter. We're back.
It's a pleasure, Paul.
Tomorrow night, Rob will be here, as I mentioned, with Andy and with Mark. That's tomorrow night, live at 5.